The invocation is to be led by Ustad Abdul.
Recording in progress.
وقال ربكم ادعوني استجب لكم آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم اهدنا واهدنا جميعا واجعله لنا سببا لمن اهتدى يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرت ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيت ولا مريدا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا مجاهدا إلا نصرته وحفظته يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم افتح لنا أبواب الخير وأبواب البركة وأبواب القوة وأبواب العافية وأبواب الصحة وأبواب السلامة وأبواب الجنة الفردوس الأعلى يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا جنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Please stand for the singing of the Pambansang Awit and the Bangsamoro hymn.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, ewas ang sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tudlang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitingin. Lumalang araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. buhay, kapayapaan, katarungan, ay ating nang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, pagpalain Bangsamoro.
Since this is a public consultation, there is no need for the declaration of quorum. Before I acknowledge my colleagues and the resource person, just a brief background on this public consultation. This is the first public consultation on the bill creating the Ranao Development Authority. It was principally authored by my vice chair of the TWG, MP Maysara Dandaman Latif, and many members of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. This bill, that's why the TWG was created, because it is as significant or importance to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, especially of the people of Lanao del Sur. The TWG was created by the leadership of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority through the committee on rules headed by our majority floor leader, Attorney Lanang Ali. And the TWG is composed of 5 members headed by this representation, and my vice chair, MP Maysara Dandaman Latif, the members are Attorney Rasmit Mug, Attorney Anatara Tabasman, and member of the parliament, Marjani Makasalong, and of course, all the Lanao members of parliament are members. That's why they are here. I said earlier that this bill is important. Since I can't remember, during the time of Korea Aquino, marami nang pinapasa na bill na ganito, Lanao Development Authority, Lanao Development and Watershed Authority, and so many similar bills. It was authored by Senators Nini Pimentel, Lauren Ligarda, Flaver, Roque Biason, and many others. In the lower house or every Congress, our Muslim representative filed similar measure. Pero hanggang ngayon, walang nangyari. That's why, if you can remember, nagkaroon ng salam noon during the 1990s. Salam mostly for the protection of our Lake Lanao. And on our time also, para mayroon kayong overview, during our time in the Regional Legislative Assembly, nung kaupo lang namin, nagpasa rin kami ng similar measure na approved in the Regional Legislative Assembly. As a matter of fact, it was called the MME Act number 93. Naging MME Act number 93. And it was not pushed through because of funding, because the funding din is subject to the approval from the Department of Budget and Management and of course to the Congress. So walang parang yung bill na yon natulog na lang na-implement, MME Act number 93. That's why this bill is very important, because we have now a block grant. And the block grant was included in the Bangsamoro Organic Law purposely for this mga ganitong law na dapat mapandingan, because the block grant, dahil it is a lump sum fund, it is the parliament that will allocate the resources for the black plant. So very timely itong bill. Kaya ngayon, we held the public consultation. First, ang consultation namin for the government agencies. Kayo ngayon, mga LGUs and the government agencies, then tomorrow for the other sectors, we'll hold the public consultation for the other sectors that because all of us are concerned for this Ranao Development Authority. So mamaya we will acknowledge you sa kung sino magsasalita. We recognize you kung sasalita. So in view of that, I will have to acknowledge my colleagues who are present there, MP Sultan Penduma B. Sani for his presence. Thank you, sir. MP Dipatuan, Saprola Dipatuan for his presence. MP Musa Diamla for his presence. And MP Abdul Basit Yanati. Mimuantas Abbas kasi nagugulo sa ang alam ko Yanati. Mimuantas. Yes. And of course, my vice chair who is there, my members of the TWG, MP Rasmit will arrive later on. Then for those resource persons who are here, for those who are in Zoom, MP Susana Anayatin, MP Milanio Ulama, MP Said Imsaik, MP Romeo Saliga, MP Diamila, DC Ramos, yan lang. And for those resource persons who attended, thank you all for coming here. As you are, please raise your right hand. Anisa Usop, Mindro of Pagayawan. Yasir Abdul Malik, Mindro of Lumbabayabaw. And Har Cornel, Mindro of Marantao. Mahmoud Mamalangkap, PhD, Director 2, Fisheries Sector, Mapar. Muhammad Yusuf Watamama, YC Chief Agriculturist from Mapar. Esther Karis Maranda, Manager, Watershed, Karis Maranda. Manager, Watershed Management Division, representing the NPC Mindanao Generation. Jabir Abdulaziz, NPC Watershed Management Division. Jabir. Ayan. Attorney Khalid Ansano, the actor, Provincial Director of Mapar. Yan lumabas mo na. Salta Raraco, MPDC of Binidayan. Mamintal Balindong, LGU Picong, representing the LGU Picong. Alex Mangundaya, Mapar, Lanao del Sur, Senior Agriculturist. Kapar Sansarona, Mapar, Lanao del Sur, Chief Agriculturism. Engineer Jamail Randi, Senro, LGU Marawi. Jamal Manua, Municipal Administrator, LGU Bubong. Forester Pili Papandayan, Penro, Province of Lanao del Sur. Ila Isaad, Minro, Marogong. Ayun, Marogong. Mangran Bautel, Plan Manager, Agus 1 and 2, si Marnie. Santorani Logi, Minro, Piagapo. Piagapo. Waida Abbas, Sangguniang Bayan President, Piaga po. Oh, kayo. Kaya kayo. You are representing ALU. But, Abdul Razak Adiong Jr., Minro, Diction Ramen. Wasim T. Abulais, Minro, Tugaya. Isa Gimba, NPC, August 1 and 2, Acting Operation Manager. Inoyag Matuan, NPC, August 1 and 2, Manager din. Bakit nandiyan ka? Dito ka. You sit at the front. Tantawi P. Muti, NPC, August 1 and 2, Division Manager. Division Manager, ayun. Nova Aisa Paramata, LGU Malabang. Walid Pangkoga, LGU Malabang. Tugaya, no? Tugaya. Pangkoga. Foresteras Nawe Dataman, Sinro. Sinro of the First District. Al-Jamsi Diron, Minro Tamparan. Saan? And for the other agencies via Zoom, representing the Bangsamoro Attorney General's Office, Attorney Najira Masakal Muslim, and from the Chief Legal Officer of Minre, Attorney Mark Ismail Noor. Yes, before we continue, as a matter of fact, we invited all the LGU, especially those on the near the lake, and most especially to the custodian of the 5 rivers, specifically the Ramain Bubong, the Taraka, Butigan Masyo. So I hope you are well aware of that. Thank you very much to all for coming here. And our next is the opening remarks. Since our maski hindi pa ito nakakapagpahinga, pero sana ito magsalita eh. Buti dumating siya. The Deputy Speaker has arrived. Member of Parliament Siyaw Rahman Alun Wadyong. Since hindi pa siya nakakapagpahinga, pero sa matter of fact siya ang opening remarks dahil Deputy Speaker. Sana naman ito magsalita eh. Maski biglaan. Ikaw ang opening remarks. The opening remarks is to be rendered by our Deputy Speaker, Member of Parliament Siyaw Rahman Alun Wadyong.
A'udhu billahi minasyaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Chairman, members, honorable members of this committee, timely. I apologize to the members of the committee for being late. Last night, sobrang ng baha. So again, we are very thankful, Mr. Chair, because the leadership of the Parliament has given us the time and the resources to conduct the first public hearing on BTA Bill number 32, if I'm not mistaken. 32, the creation of the Ranao Development Authority. And Mr. Chair, as we all know, this has been one of the major issues that has been confronting the Maranao people since time immemorial. And not only in Congress, but even during the previous ARMM, where the chairman actually had the privilege of serving the RLA as one of the speakers during the Fifth Assembly. There were several attempts during the RLA where we attempted, yes, we attempted Lake Lanao Development Authority. And finally, that was in Fifth Assembly, if I'm not mistaken, or Fourth Assembly that they were able, Third Assembly, that they were able to enact and establish the Lake Lanao Development Authority. But unfortunately, because of the budget allocation necessary for the office to operate, the bill was not fully implemented. And because there are several issues confronting also, the issues in terms of the generation and its transmission and distribution, which we believe at that time, the generation and all of these charges were controlled by the NPC. That was also the reason why Lake Lanao Development Authority was not fully implemented. Now, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the committee, we have the power under the Republic Act 11054, the BUL, we have the power, the parliament has the power to enact laws that can improve the lives of the people in the BARMM. And we also have more power as compared to the ARMM insofar as protecting, preserving, and utilizing resources within our region, specifically the lake, to favor us, to favor the Bangsamoro residents, and as well as, in particular, Lake Lanao del Sur. So we are happy to conduct this public hearing, and we invited the stakeholders. I see coming from the Lanao del Sur provincial capital, the provincial government, the board member, one of the board members, Attorney Alan Panulong, and as well as their head for the Amenro, and many others, many other LGUs and CSOs, so that we can gather your inputs and your comments and recommendation how we would improve the current draft of this bill. And by the way, we are very thankful that one of our lady legislators in the person of MP Attorney Maysara Damdaman Latif took the initiative to revive the issue of Lake Lanao Development Authority. This time, she named it as Ranao Development Authority to make it more, to make it sound more Ranao. So we are, Mr. Chairman and members of this committee, we are very thankful to our guest for honoring our invitation, and we are hoping that we would have a fruitful and productive discussion today. So, sanggibuwa salamat sa denyo kapakanderenon. Giyan kay Ranao Development Authority na pararaktan ni para ini si kumanga watatano para ini suka para katagun tano sa diyan ka ang kaya usayan sa gianda taman kabenar tano au kaprotekta tano sa giyan kaya lake na lake tano katon tano apade ko ancient lakes in the world, no? One of the ancient lakes of the world. Ando man tagi kuratan ron, naguanda man ay kapaka bagay niyan sa kamapian raktan walangwan maging sa giyang kaya Ranao. So panalamatan na miskano busa den yung kapakandaray nun, nano dia kan mapamatu sa mga ngaran niyo. Sa gid Mr. Chairman, ikapaguda si Tano Kiran, au kapanalamat Tano Kiran. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Before I recognize the next speaker, I have to acknowledge, nakalimutan ko, yung di ko na, although nasabi na ni incoming congressman, the board member of Lanao del Sur, abogado sa Ranao, board member Attorney Alan Panulong, and of course, the Ministry of Binidan, Lanao del Sur, Gian Haji Jamil. Thank you very much. Next is our MP Maysara relative for the knowledge of the bill that was filed in the parliament.
So I believe that Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Happy Women's Month. It's actually Women's Day today. So mga pag-react na mga loksak na gusto mga men, I hope that you support us women so that we can make meaningful changes for the society. As long as sisang and supporting us, I think we will be successful. Si Alan, alam niya yan. Supportive husband. Dahil pag wala si Mrs., siya yung nag-aalaga sa mga anak. So, alhamdulillah, we are here today. 2019, the Ranao Development Act, 3 years ago, no? It's been so long. It's been, for us, wala na si Kaka Pips Naga. I think he was the very first, it's an institution already for Save Lake Lanao movement. When we were doing this, Mr. Chair, please allow me to present a brief background of the years that led to this effort, led by our departed brother, si Kaka Pips Naga, and also members of the Laguna Lake Development Authority. If you know, the Laguna Lake Development Authority has been existing for 50 years. 50 years ago, the framers of the law, senators from Luzon, thought of how they will take care of Laguna Lake. That was 50 years ago. And Laguna Lake, right now, is the only institution in the country that exists to take care of a large body of water, yung Laguna Lake. I was thinking, how come yung mga counterparts tano sa Luzon, na 50 years na malantas sa pamikiran niran, that they were able to establish an institution that will be benefited by generations for 50 years. And look how far the Laguna Lake has come. And I said, kapag mamuso mga Maranao, na malantas mamuy ka pamikiran, na maka-establish ka naman po sa opisina to take care of our lake, which supplies 2/3 of the entire energy supply of Mindanao. In fact, it's a critical energy infrastructure, a national security concern. Because if it does not thrive, if we fail to take care of Lake Lanao, 2/3 of entire Mindanao will be paralyzed. No? Walang development. So prior to the filing of the bill, and with due diligence, noong July 25th, 2019, we consulted several stakeholders, experts, including LGU officials and academe. So we decided after that consultation to file the bill. So we organized thereafter, after July 25, 2019, 3 years ago, the first ever technical working group on November 7, 2019. This time, ang Assalamualaikum, Kaka James, no? Our brother, he's one of the best MP kasi siya yung nakaisip ng TDIF. Without the TDIF, I think we cannot be as relevant as we are today. Thank you very much, Kaka James. You're very intelligent about it. So we have the Laguna Lake Development Authority as one of the framers. No, they helped us, no less than the chairman of the Laguna Lake Development Authority, came with us, representing by their vice chairman, and also yung mismo chair ng Lake Environment Committee of the World, which was established in Japan, Attorney Lapus and Honorable Adelina Santos Borja, came in MSU Marawi so that they can hear ano ba yung proposed bill na ito, and they can help bagupsiran puro nga na gito kita ba dito no nimbaalan. Alhamdulillah, members from Napocor, I think you're also there, Napocor, who are here today, Mafar, Menre, incumbent deans of MSU, College of Fisheries and Forestries, as well as a longtime advocate, as I've said, Kaka Pips was there. On February 21, 2020, we delivered the sponsorship speech for this law. And then on July 3, the first Ranao consultation in aid of legislation, Ranao, was held Again, the endemic species, watershed, deforestation, solid waste management, health risks, and water pollution were discussed during that SIAP Ranao. On September 20, 2021, no less than the Office of the Chief Minister, para lang malaman nyo kung gaano ka-importante yung batas na ginagawa natin, the Bangsamoro Attorneys General's Office, the BAGO, called on all lawyers from different offices, the 15 ministries and offices of the Bangsamoro government to comment on the bill. So mismo si Chief Minister, I think his representative is here with us today. Sir, pwede po ba kayong tumayo from the Office of the Chief Minister? Nandiyan siya kanina. Sa OCM, nandiyan siya. He was here. He's here today. He joined us. And then they gave full support to the bill, the Office of the Chief Minister, along with his lawyer, the Attorney General. On November 22, we organized again a focus group discussion for all Ranao MPs, which was participated by the Office of Chief Minister, represented by Mr. Nasruddin Yusuf. Even the Chief Minister acknowledged the fact that this law is long overdue. This bill is long overdue. That's the reason why today we have also his representative. Mr. Chair, on March 25, 2021, we have approved a resolution asking the Senate Committee of Government Corporations to give due consideration to the provision of the Bangsamoro Organic Law concerning the right of the government, of the BARMM government, over the management of inland waters in light of the pendency of Senate Bills 99, 389, 1015, seeking to create Lake Lanao Development Authority. We received a letter from no less than Senator Dick Gordon, so that you will know the background of the law, that the chairman of the committee asked our opinion on whether or not the BTA bill that we prepared is congruent also to what they have filed in the Senate. We approved the resolution. The Parliament said the Bangsamoro Transition Authority Bill 32 is fully in accordance and authorized by the Bangsamoro Organic Law, because under the law, we have exclusive management of inland waters. Dito so product o peace process. Remember, one of the most contentious issues that was raised during the Bangsamoro Transition Commission, BBL, negotiation in the Senate and the Congress was Lake Lanao. They have focused on a very particular provision regarding Lake Lanao. And we managed to convince them that Lake Lanao is for the Bangsamoro to govern. That is our right. No? We cannot give that up. So yung exclusivity provision was there, and then they should respect it. So, Mr. Chair, we approved that resolution. We sent the position paper, which was duly acknowledged by Senator Dick Gordon. So last July, the 4-day seminar workshop, which was attended by all members of the Parliament, approved BTA Bill number 32 in the top 10 legislation. It's the only legislation na private member bill. Kasi the rest, the 1 to 9, are all government of the day. Ibig sabihin, it emanated from the government of the day, except for the BTA Bill number 32, because we fought for it to be included in the top 10 legislation of the Bangsamoro government. So it was approved by the members of the Parliament, and now that's the reason why we have this public consultation. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Long way. Akala ko nga hindi na mangyari ito kasi 3 years ago. So it proves that you should never give up on a dream. You have to persist, struggle, have an optimistic stand. Kasi kung 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, sabi ko wala na. Hindi. Every day, kinukulit ko yung Committee on Rules. Kailan ba mag-public consultation? So alhamdulillah, nandito na tayo. So BTA Bill number 32, an act creating the Ranao Development Authority, prescribing powers, functions, and appropriating funds thereof. Next slide. So, we will present to you yung mismong bill structure itself, the powers. Isang PowerPoint din yun. So, Happy Women's Month again. Parang hindi kayo masaya for women. Wala. Happy Women's Month. So, di ba? So, I'm so happy that my staff are here. We are developing future generation of leaders in our office. We know that kami, we're just here temporarily, but the people that will be left behind will continue on. So, our office is committed to developing young leaders, especially women. Ayan, nasa likod ninyo ang mga young women, and they are now, I think, members of the Bangsamoro Women Leaders Congress. Yesterday, nagkaroon ng mga Bangsamoro. So kung may mga women kayo na mga anak, you can approach our office and hopefully matrain namin sila on leadership. Okay, so let's continue with the bill. Next slide. So as you can see, this is just an aerial photo of previous yung Marawi, no? We remember Marawi as it was before. Next slide. The topographical map that was presented to you today show tributaries. So what are these 4 sources of major tributaries? We have Masio River, we have Gata River, we have Taka River, we have Ramain River. So four tributaries. These are all the watershed that we have to take care in the bill itself. So right now, what are we seeing around the lake? So next slide. Medyo unregulated, unsupervised. There's no policy on how and when this institution, private profit-oriented institution, is regulated. No, so we really need to pass a legislation to regulate this types of institution that aims to build around the Lake Lanao. Because as far as I know, you need to have ECC, Environmental Compliance Certificate, before you can operate an institution like this. Before you can even build an institution, you have to have compliance certificate for energy, for environment. So what is the legal basis? Section 30, Article 12, as I said, of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, provides for the legal basis of the creation of the Ranao Development Authority. The corporate powers, Section 9, 10 to 13 for the Board of Directors, and Section 27 for the capitalization. What is Section 19? So, for the management structure, in carrying out the activities of the authority, there will be a general manager, which shall be assisted by an assistant general manager, and several department heads who shall have powers, duties, and functions like a general manager whom he may delegate his authority. The following departments shall be created: administrative, legal, operations, financial, auditing, planning, programming, environment protection, integrated water management, social development, advocacy, and linkages. For the benefit of everyone concerned, the ILEC and then also the LLDA looked into already our law. So na-approve na rin nila yung ating structure. The organizational structure are as follows. There shall be a board of directors. And under the board of directors, there will be Office of General Manager, Office of Assistant General Manager, an internal audit division, legal and adjudication department, and planning and programming. Under the environmental protection and integrated water management, there shall be administrative, operations, financial and management, social development, advocacy, and linkages. The very important regulatory provisions are clearance and permits division, enforcement division, environmental compliance office. Next slide. So for the board of directors, what are the powers? They shall formulate, prescribe, amend, and repeal rules and regulations to govern the conduct and the business of the authority. They have to provide a policy guideline for the development of the Ranao region. Board resolutions, example, like for example, Board Resolution 123, Series of 2021, approving the revised regulation and procedures. Those are some of the example. Board Resolution 123 also approving the policy guidelines governing all fast food stores, restaurants, and similar establishments within the Ranao region. So all those establishments which will have potential impact on the usage, on the protection and rehabilitation of Lake Lanao will be governed by this law. The legal basis for the creation is Section 4, the creation of Ranao Development Authority. They shall possess both quasi-judicial, quasi-legislative power. So medyo powerful po ang ating agency. They have regulatory, lawmaking, as well as regulatory, quasi-judicial, as well as lawmaking power, quasi-legislative power. Powers and function includes these passing upon, approving, disapproving all plans, programs, projects proposed by LGUs, even ministries, offices, and agencies within BARMM. So it's a super agency that will really oversee, manage Lake Lanao, as well as public corporations, private persons, enterprises, agriculture, forestry industries, trade, fisheries, and aquatic resource, energy projects or programs directly or indirectly impacting. The word is directly or indirectly impacting Ranao region. To set standards for all environmental compliance for construction, for operations, rehabilitation, maintenance of power plants, irrigation projects, dams, reservoirs, roads, wharves, transmission line, transportation system, water supply, flood control, sewage work, which we are all aware of that one of the biggest problem is the lack of sewage system, waste disposal facilities. Enter, inspect, investigate at all reasonable times such public and private properties devoted to commercial or industrial use within the Ranao region relating to pollution and existing imminent environmental hazard and danger. It shall also exercise exclusive regulatory power and control in the preservation, development, and utilization of Ranao region and its natural resources. And also issue permits, license, collect fees for the use of the lake and its tributaries for all beneficial purposes, including but not limited to fisheries, for recreation, for water supply, for municipal, for industrial and agricultural use, navigation, and irrigation. Issue after due notice and hearing, this is the quasi-judicial power, orders or decision to compliance with the provision of the Act. So those are the highlights of the salient provisions. Mr. Chair, we are now ready to receive their opinions, comments, suggestions, and position papers for the Act creating the Ranao Development Authority.
Thank you very much, MP Maysara Dandabati, for a very brief highlights of the bill. Before we proceed with the next speaker, we have to acknowledge, of course, the presence of our deputy speaker through Zoom, Deputy Speaker Ate Milasan, and for the personal appearance of Member of Parliament Jamil Makaraya and a member of the TWG, Member of Parliament Attorney Russell Mitmug Jr. Of course, our resource person, the PINRO or the PINRI Director of the Province of Lanao del Sur, Forester Asmari M. Labaw. Thank you very much for your presence. We will begin the public consultations. We will begin with the public consultations now. Before we begin, yung house rules, can you present the house rules? In the public consultation, there is house rules so that everybody can be given a time to present his side. The Secretariat is directed to present the house rules of this public consultation. Meron ba?
Sorry. Pasensya na po, sir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. House rules for the conduct of public consultation on BTA Bill number 32. Number 1, resource person may speak after having been recognized by the presiding officer. They may speak in any language or dialect they wish to understood. Number 2, when recognized, resource person must be state their name, position, and the local government unit they represent. A slip will be provided, which will be collected by the Secretariat for the resource person to be recognized. Number 3, each invited resource person is allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak. Reminders on the remaining time will be shown on the screen. Number 4, resource person are encouraged to put into writing their ideas in case they exceed the allotted 5 minutes for them to speak. Number 5, the resource persons are advised to cite the specific provision in the proposed Ranao Development Authority Act they wish to comment on and state the recommendation thereon. Number 6, in the absence of the invited resource person, an authorized representative may be allowed to observe the public consultation. And number 7, the committee will only receive position paper which are duly signed by the invited resource person. We are referring to the LGUs, the mayors, the position papers of the municipality must be duly signed by your mayor. And number 8, the position papers may be submitted on or before March 8 via email or at parliamentary.rules@bta.gov.ph. Although we extended the submission of the position paper until March 16, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. Reminders lang, this is a public consultation. Since it is a public consultation, we are here to hear your position, ideas, comments, observations, suggestions on the proposed measure. Kung may mga idagdag pa kayo dun sa proposed measures, you can present to this body either in writing or through your presentation now in this public consultation. So we will not, with respect to my colleagues, we will not make comments on your presentations because if we do that, it will prolong this activity. So kayo ang papakinggan namin dahil kayo ang nasa baba, nasa ground. Alam niyo yung talagang nangyari at saka yung sitwasyon. At yun ay magiging batayan namin para sa finalization of this proposed bill. So in view of that, we will begin now the presentation as stated, the public consultation as stated earlier by the Secretariat. Either you raise your hand or you can, there is a slip of paper that will be provided by the Secretariat, sabi nyo, so that you can be properly recognized and acknowledged. First, to be acknowledged is the provincial board member of the province of Lanao del Sur, Sangguniang Panlalawigan member, Attorney Alan Panolong. You are recognized, sir.
Auzubillahi minasyaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Maraming salamat, Panyero, for recognizing me. My courtesy to all the members of the Parliament, especially Deputy Speaker Ziaur Rahman Alonto Adjong, sir. Una sa lahat is nagpapasalamat po tayo, no, dahil sa ito pong proposed bill, the creation of Ranao Development Authority, is long and overdue, as articulated by our chairman, Attorney Faisalin Pitago. In fact, Your Honors, the provincial government of Lanao del Sur, especially the Sangguniang Panlalawigan issued a resolution supporting the creation of Lake Lanao Development Authority pending before the Senate. And that is prior to the introduction of this bill in the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. Secondly, this representation was able to attend a technical working group hearing also in the lower house, discussing on the pending bill also of the creation of the Lake Lanao Development Authority. Unfortunately, parang nakalimutan po. So gaya nga nung unang nasabi ko kay MP Mai, hindi na natin sila antayin. Tayo na lang ang gagawa. And for the record, the provincial government fully supports this bill. No, we hope and pray that as soon as possible, this bill must be passed by the Parliament. In addition to that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just want our legal minds, no, especially from the BTA who are listening right now. I'd like to pose a query with respect to issuances of licenses and permits. I think we have to reconcile this also with respect to the powers of the LGUs in the issuance of licenses and permits. Kailangan mapagtuunan po natin yun because while we understand that we have this power, no, under this BOL, but then again, the LGUs has also this corresponding power under the local government code. Kailangan siguro natin tanungin yung like in the case of PVTech, no? I understand may nagkaroon ng mga legal issues dyan in the case of the Laguna Lake Development Authority. Secondly, Mr. Chair, is that I'd like to, this representation would like to propose a suggestion lang naman. As I read over the composition of the board, mostly the members of the board are coming from the BARMM, which we understand, no? And only one representation from the provincial government of Lanao del Sur. If I may suggest, Mr. Chair, in order to ensure proper representation of the province of Lanao del Sur, we must also allow one representation for each district. No? Tandaan po natin, ang Lake Lanao, ang nakapaligid po dyan ay both first and second. So kailangan po, meron po tayong sufficient number of representation from the constituents of Lanao del Sur. So tayo rin po yung makikinabang dyan. So kailangan well represented sa board ang mga i-renown sa itong Ranao Development Authority. And lastly, Mr. Chair, this is just actually I think baka kuwan lang to, typo. We only have one city in Lanao del Sur. Dito sa Section 20, Consultative Assembly, I think we have to correct this na wala po tayong Mayor's League President sa city because we only have one city. So we have to correct this because unless we are planning to create more cities in the province. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mabuhay ang BTA. Mabuhay ang Lanao del Sur.
I recognize the next president, the next resource person. I have to acknowledge first our Sangguniang Board Secretary, Attorney Mino Makalandap, who is around, and also the chairman of the Bangsamoro Service and Relief Assistance Center, or the BASRAC, represented by Chairman Jafar Ajir Rao, also is representing the Saksi Islamic Radio Forum. The director from MAFAR, Province of Lanao del Sur, Attorney Khalid Ansano, is duly recognized. You are recognized here.
Ini auzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before my concern, would like to congratulate and very thankful sa the present member of the parliament for this initiative. My courtesy to everybody. I would be brief, direct to the point. When I listened to the briefer of MP Dan Latif, she been mentioned that the purpose of this act is to preserve para matago sa ginawa di mabina sa Lanao. But in that sense, I propose that the title of the bill itself should be that conservation. So I propose in the form of recommendation that the title of the bill should be Ranao Development and Conservation Authority. Secondly, my concern, in fact, also in section 4 of the proposed bill, ang nasabi lang dito is, hindi ko rin nababasa yung conservation. In section 4, before the last paragraph, nasabi dito na, the authority shall be the primary government agency that shall coordinate, plan, manage, and implement the development programs and resource utilization in the region. So hindi ko nakikita yung utilization dito. Another concern is especially on section 5, paragraph C, F, G, K, U. Have concern regarding the powers and authority of the MAFAR. I think tingnan natin yan. And I think there is, hindi ko alam ang status, there is the proposed bill on agri-fishery bill sa parliament rin. So, ang concern ko dito sa mga nasabing bill is, hindi ko naman sinasabing magka-clash yung provision or na-encroach yung authority namin sa MAFAR is, siguro tingnan natin yung angulo na ma-reconcile yung authority kasi baka magkaroon ng overlapping. Pero ang pinakamalaking concern ko dito is it might hamper the function of our office. So for the meantime, yun lang muna. Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Anyone who has comments, suggestions, or observations on the bill? O yung iba hindi pa yata nabasa yung bill. Ako nga while going here, ngayon ko pala nabasa. I have a full glance of the bill. Yes. Jamil Randy. From the city of Marawi. Jamil Randy, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. My courtesy to the members of the Parliament and the observer, my co-research persons, speakers. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mr. Chair, this is in regards to the board composition as Attorney Panulong raised. He is proposing of members by district, but the city should have separate representative, separate from that of the province and the district, Mr. Chair. Kung matatandaan po natin, Mr. Chair, Marawi City is the host of the Agos hydroelectric plant, one, and the only outlet of the Lake Lanao. So there is an issue on the fluctuation of the water lake in Lake Lanao. Kung matatandaan po natin, Mr. Chair, 2 decades, 3 decades ago, nagkaroon po ng malaking issue po sa water level dyan po sa water dam po sa Marawi City po. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Assalamualaikum.
Hindi nasa mga city government. The next is the mineral from LGU Lumbabayabo, Forester Yasser Abdul Malik. You are recognized, sir.
First, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My courtesies to the MPs that are here today and the agencies like Mafar and Minri, Penrose, St. Rose, and the province of Lanao del Sur, Sir Alan Panolong, Attorney Alan Panolong. This is also a recommendation from Lumbabayabo. So kailangan meron sir na like do si Tanubu focus sa mga munisipyo along the Lake Lanao. Okay. Pero kalipatan tano, agina na Lake Lanao, na siya ng po mga watershed pun sa mga munisipyo ang makapupun sa kalasan. So siya yung manunumpang siko conservation. Okay. Pega pagkuhan na tano sa Lanao del Sur, Lanao Lake, na di tano ma-manage so conservation, siko watershed tano, na useless. Okay. So giyalan na Lumbabayabo na 69,000 hectares area may. So forest land namin na nasa 50.2%. So ayak pinakakuha namin sa nagito conservation. Ma-conserve tanuanan kasi di na manage na talagang kada sa Lanao. Basta di Lake Lanao, basta di tanuanan ma-manage. So until now na existing ang mga illegal loggers pero mga small timer. So ato na imiyugo pure kamisan, kagigira ko na so local government na di kami pakaran. Kay kawan na so mga parirido si kuingad na si pumuling sa kalasan. Na di sila makapkuyagan si sa kalan sa ingad. Kamala sila ni Rido. Yamiaswa, di sila di kayo si sa kalasan. Okay. Nakagiyayata no siya concern na so conservation na ato na imipad yung tano sa gina na di ka kayo. Sabab ko di sila makapkuyagan sa kalan sa ingad kadi sila pagmaw ka mga lerido. Aya mini kuha na mikiran na siya na misiran sa gyutang mga ireda na ato na ikapakay amyugo pa Amerikano para makatarag ka no sa ginga na nakuan. Kakayo. Tigira na ugup kami niyo si ko mga agricultural facilities like farmer. Kakapakay ang makaganag kami kayo na makapamay kami si siya nga mga kilidingad na mga lupa uno pa bakante. No na initial siya manunumpang ko conservation. So isaw ta kapakay ang makaugup. O di na si ko mga program si ko rehabilitation si sanganan ang mga forestano na makaugup sila nun instead of pakabinasa na sira ni allowed na sira ni mga pamumulaan sa mga kayo sa ginanakalasan o pa man na instead of pakabinasa na siram na miyakugup siram ba dun si ko kapag rehabatan no si ko mga forest cover tano. Gito po, assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you very much for that suggestions. Next for the resource speaker is the Provincial Director of Mindri, Lanao del Sur, Forester Asmari Labao. You are recognized, sir.
Hello. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. No, please allow me to read our initial decision paper with regards to the creation of the Ranao Development Authority. The outset, I wish to hail the vision that sparked the idea of the creation of the Ranao Development Authority and clothing it with legal mandate. Lake Lanao and its environment center certainly need a special and focused intervention in order to ensure its protection, preservation, utilization, and development for maximum benefit not only to the people of Lanao and the BARMM region, but also to the neighboring areas in the island of Mindanao and the whole country. The proposed bill is indeed very laudable. In all humility, Mr. Chair, this humble servant and colleague of yours sincerely wish to bring attention to some practical issues and available strategies that may be considered by the authors of the bill and the participants in this public consultation. On reading the bill, what immediately struck us as your Mendre Lanao Sur contingent was a review or a reiteration and a reenactment of the mandated functions of the existing BARMM, Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Energy, of the mandated functions of the existing BARMM, BARMM Ministry, with the difference of a proposed big operational budget, a separate independent office, and as a special focus on Ranao region that more or less comprise the whole of Lanao del Sur. Comes to mind instantly is that this Mendre and Mendre Lanao del Sur, but given full support in consideration of the spatial and its surrounding environment, which makes the Mendre Lanao del Sur area and scope of responsibilities very significantly from those of Mendre office in other BARMM provinces. Clearly, we thought that there is an unnecessary duplication should the Ranao Development Authority be created separate from Mendre LDS provincial office. The bill specifies the creation of the Lanao Development Authority as an independent regulatory body under the office of the Chief Minister, who is currently the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources, and Energy. In effect, the Chief Minister will be managing and overseeing the twin organizations in one of the provincial scope of operations. Two organizations or offices that serves the same purpose, but with the obvious primary of one in view of the wider powers and vast resource that will be legally and preferentially attributed or granted to it. Seen on other plane, the Chief Minister will be graphing with directly and sustaining existing operations of the Mendre Lanao del Sur, at the same time be overseeing another, both serving identical and overlapping functions. Even now, a reading of the powers and functions of the proposed authority readers but another version of the same core functions that Mendre and its provincial office in Lanao del Sur were created for, but for minor shift in emphasis, all these enumerated functions from A to Z are assumed under the powers and functions of the Mendre and in spot the Mendre Lanao del Sur. As an officer of the Mendre Lanao del Sur, a native of Lanao del Sur, and a witness to the unfortunate degradation of the lake, the natural resources, and its environmental integrity, we feel the overlapping of functions will a few of what we are doing at the Mendre Lanao del Sur in active coordination with all the appropriate agencies, partners, and stakeholders. We are partners with the provincial government in the task of validating, enriching, and updating of the provincial master plan, particularly in the matters related to physical environment, natural resources, and energy. We urge and lend technical support to our local government units for the conduct and crafting of the CLUP or the Comprehensive Land Use Plan by every municipality or every LGUs with their municipal development plans and operations. We also require all infrastructures, programs, and projects requiring an environmental certificate of compliance and such other requirements required for environmental safeguards. As was shown in the video in presentation, the case of Share 8. In fact, Mr. Chairman, we already served the notice of violation of the non-compliance of the Share 8 in the compliance of environmental certificate compliance. Just last week, we already sent the notice of violation to Share 8 findings of the Mendre Lanao del Sur, failing to secure an environmental compliance certificate of ECC, operating without wastewater discharge permit of the WDP, or operating without permit to operate air installation or facilities under violation of RA 8749, and failing to secure hazardous waste generating or ID or HWID violation of RA 6989. And we already waiting for their response of state violations. We, the Mendre, issue and cancel permits and licenses, certificates, and environmental project impacting to Lake Lanao. We share and exercise regulatory power and control in the preservation, protection, and utilization of development of the lake and its environments with our LGUs and concerned agencies as the law provides. We explore with affected LGUs solution to environmental problems as flood control, solid waste management, pollution control, and etc. We involve significant stakeholders in adjudication, reconciliation of conflict with the scope of one work. In fact, it's manifested in our representative of our local government units. We have here the municipality of Lumbabayabao. We have here the Pendrio of the province, the Pendro of the province of Lanao del Sur, and other major stakeholders. We have active participation with their organization in the protection of Lake Lanao. We also currently implementing special programs for BARMM that redound the people's livelihood. These are but a few other mandated functions, but merely a window for understanding the overlapping of functions that is evident in the proposed bill. We believe that the BARMM needs to strengthen its capacities with full financial backing in order to provide all the enumerated functions inherent in the ministry, but which are being surprisingly duplicated in a separate independent authority with almost identical department that require a food chunk of logistical support that can be better used to strengthen the function and manpower of the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources. We believe, Mr. Chair, that the existing coordination between the MENRE and the local government units and other environmental organizations, line offices, academe, the research institution, and the relevant organization need only be supported too adequately for the achievement of the envisioned purposes of the separate authority. We believe, Mr. Chair, that seeking and receiving outside support can be attended to by the Mendre leaders without need to create a new and large organization for the purpose. In like manner, negotiating with energy-related issues and all large-scale utilization and development of the lake is naturally lodged with the BARMM and the Mendre leadership. We sincerely believe, Mr. Chair, the mission to see, protect, preserve, conserve, and develop Lake Lanao and its environment is not dependent on the creation of another organization. Duplication with only drain and deplete limits is the authority itself already under the chief minister, but with all need for budgetary support for special concern like Lake Lanao rehabilitation and development requires. These are my humble, Mr. Chair, thoughts on the matter for your consideration. Thank you so much and wassalam. And I think our very active Andrea of the first district will have to share his on the position paper on the matter of his implementation programs in the first district. So, Mr. Chair, may you please recognize our Sendrio from the first district.
Dataman. After Dataman, din the board secretary, Attorney Mino Makalandap, din after Attorney Makalandap, from NBC Caris Maranda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. No? My courtesy to all the member of the Parliament of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, my fellow resource person, and the participant of this public consultation. With our comments and suggestion within this proposed BTA Bill number 32, also known as the Ranao Development Authority Act, I will be specific with Section 5 of this bill, the powers and function of the authority, more specifically on letter C, regarding the approve and disapprove of all plans. So it includes the activity of the MENRE, especially the environmental management services, particularly in the crafting of the comprehensive land use plan, forest land use plan, and solid waste management plan, to be specific. Others, like in letter F, to exercise exclusive regulatory power uncontrolled in the preservation, protection, and development utilization of the Ranao region and its natural resources, provided that such development and utilization is not for energy purposes, in which case co-management principles shall apply. And also in the letter G, to set standard for environmental compliance for construction, operation, rehabilitation, and maintenance of power plants, irrigation project, dams, reservoir, roads, control sewerage works, waste disposal facility, and other facilities and project. This may be a core function of the existence MENRE agency, particularly the MENRE Lanao del Sur. And other comments will be indicated in our position paper, Mr. Chair, to be submitted to the body. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much to you too from the MENRE, the Provincial Director of MENRE, Smaril Labaw, and to the Sindro Marawi City that as now determined. Thank you very much for your observation and suggestion. Kindly submit your position paper. Next, before I acknowledge the next resource speaker, I have to acknowledge the arrival of one of the member of the TWG, member of parliament, the chairperson of the Bangsamoro Youth Commission. Batang-bata pa kasi sa Youth Commission, member of parliament, Marjani Makasalong. Thank you, sir, for your attendance. Yes, next is the Board Secretary of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, Attorney Mino Macalalap. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, sir, for recognizing me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, honorable members of the NP. Just a while back, Attorney Panolong mentioned of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan resolution submitted before the Senate and the House of Representatives, strongly endorsing the creation of the Lanao Development Authority, which has been pending in both houses for several years ago. I just received an instruction from the Honorable Presiding Officer of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, Honorable Muhammad Khalid Mujam. He is currently co-presiding an equally important meeting at the provincial capital because the Provincial Peace and Order Council is having also a meeting today. His instruction is to inform the honorable members of the MB and all the attendants for today that he is going to reiterate the same resolution, this now to be submitted before the Parliament, strongly endorsing the creation, strongly endorsing BTA Bill number 32. And according to him, attached to that resolution, which will be submitted anytime soon, would be a position paper from the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. In addition to that, Mr. Chair, just a few proposal as far as the provision on the membership of the board. I noticed that walang representation ang ulama sector. I would like to propose this because I think we are all aware of the Al Khalifa principle and the Holy Book. I think baka kailangan dito ng presence ng representative from the ulama sector because of that Al Khalifa principle. Everybody is a vicegerent of God as far as the environment is concerned. Another equally important member for the members of the board is a representative from the coastal towns. Julie will be will be recommended by the local chapter of the League of Municipalities. I think there are 18. Sir, ilan ba yung coastal towns natin sa coastal lang. Yung may mga areas 18 coastal towns. I think it would be necessary for a representative coming from the LGUs surrounding the Lake Lanao. As far as CSO representative is concerned, siguro marami ito kasi the use of the word representatives. Baka pwedeng duly accredited CSO. Kasi before CSO would legally operate in the jurisdiction, kailangan yung due accreditation. Yun lang po. Pinaka-importante sa akin dito yung what is this membership ng ulama. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, can I be recognized before I manifestation lang. Can I be recognized?
Speaker Atimel.
Oh yeah, yes. Thank you. I'm recognized now.
Yes.
Yes.
Ano yan?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman pala, si Chairman pala ng committee. Well, ang manifestation ko lang is that I'd just like to inform the body ang Organization Islamic Cooperation ay may resolution tungkol sa Lake Lanao. They are worried about the environmental degradation nangyayari sa Lake Lanao. This is through the efforts of Attorney Bayan Balt, who has been attending conferences of the OIC. So meron ng OIC na resolution for the protection and preservation of Lake Lanao, particularly ang environmental, yung environment niya. And at the same time, I'd like also to request that mag-conduct tayo ng feasibility studies kung ano-ano yung mga economic potential ng lake. Because ngayon, ang natin tungkol sa power generation lang. I think that pwede natin yung mag-conduct feasibility studies kung possible ba magkaroon ng fishing industry katulad no sa Lake Buluan sa Maguindanao. And at the same time yung mga surrounding areas niya, because I have passed that area in the past in connection with the construction of the circumferential road ng lake, because yung paggawa ng circumferential road is galing sa Saudi fund. So we went to visit the area. So nakita ko baka pwede I'm not a technical man, but there are areas na pwede natin gawin na parang yung rice field. Kung yung pwede natin gawin na rice field, magawa tayo ng rice field in connection with the program of BARMM na sa food security, pwede natin gagawin yan. But I think that the conduct of possibility is a must. We can perhaps cooperate or make consultations with the Laguna Lake Development Authority kasi parang pareho yung ginagawa natin sa Lake Lanao Development Authority. Kaya ng innovation parang pareho rin, LLDA, Laguna Lake, ganun din. So yun lang ang manifestation ko, Mr. Chairman. And at the same time, kung tapos na tayo, after listening to our resource persons, baka pwede ang committee will sit down again in Cotabato para ma-review natin yung report ng committee before submission to Parliament for legislation. Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Salamat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the info, Deputy Speaker Hati Milasan. This is a public consultation, and we are hearing the suggestion, comments, and observation from the populace, the province of Lanao del Sur. Anyway, for final decision, we can have maybe several committee meetings and public hearing in Cotabato City for finalization of this proposed measure. Thank you much, Deputy Speaker Ate Milasan. Next, our resource speaker is from the National Power Corporation, the manager of the Watershed Management Division, Caris Maranda. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I will go directly to the provisions of this RDA, some of the sections where we have comments. One of which is Section 5 and Section 6. This is the crafting of the master plan for RDA. So, Mr. Chair, if you look at RDA, it only covers the Ranao region as defined under this law, meaning to say it only covers the Lake Lanao area. It does not cover the downstream areas. It is the Agus River watershed. And in the concept of watershed management, you have to make your planning under the concept of from ridge to reef. Meaning to say, kung saan yung pinaka-top ng watershed, pinaka-topmost part ng mountains ng Lake Lanao, yung planning mo should cover the downstream areas. Yung outlet, meaning to say, yun na yung Iligan City, yung Agus River. And please consider that under this Agus River watershed, there are 5 Agus plants located. 6. Pero yung Agus 1 kasi is within Marawi City na. So, 1 is Agus 2, Agus 4, 5, and then 6 and 7. Aside from this, there are commercial establishment, communities that are located along this Agus River wherein they are dependent of water coming from Lake Lanao for commercial and domestic uses. So if I may suggest, isama po yun sa planning ng crafting nitong master plan ng RDA. Another section we would like also to comment is about this section 5C, no? Yung study, pass upon, approve or disapprove all plans and programs, etc. Now, yung Watershed Management Department po ng NPC are filing our programs and projects sa ERC. This is under the Electric Power Reform Industry Act, EPERA Law. So, yan ang isang query namin, yung quandary, what will happen? Do we still have to file it with RDA when under EPERA law, we are required to file it with ERC? So which will prevail? Will it be the national law or this proposed RDA bill? So Mr. Chair, I think this is something we have to reconcile, itong mga batas na ito. Another one, itong itong section 5F, no? Yung to exercise exclusive regulatory power and control in the preservation, etc., etc. I think this is also one concern raised by Menre, no? At saka yung sa fisheries ata sa Mafar. Na the same thing, no, sa amin naman sa watershed na department ng NPC, we have existing memorandum of agreement with DNR, no, former ARMM. Also, we have memorandum of agreements with some NGOs, funding agencies, wherein they want to partner with us in the rehabilitation of watershed, no, of Lake Lanao. So again, this is one question that I think we have to reconcile this, but we are anticipating baka itong magiging partner namin back out in that proposed agreement with them. May mga pending kuwang kami ngayon, MOA. And these are funding also organizations that they want to implement projects in the Lake Lanao area. So I think this is one concern that also the RDA, the proponent, should consider. Another one, another provision, ito yung Section 5U, no, yung grant clearances and permits. We also have projects. Yung Watershed Management Department have also projects for infrastructure and rehabilitation for Lake Lanao. Now, some of these projects are in fact LGU initiated. So that is one question also we want to raise. Is it enough for us that we just get permit from the local government units? Isa yan ata sa mga funding powers ng LGUs, no, under the local government code. So I think this is also one aspect that we have to reconcile in this proposed bill, no? Kasi magiging kuwan na siya sa amin lang magiging very taxing na yan . Kukuha ka ng permit sa LGUs, kukuha ka ng permit sa kung ano pa yung ibang agencies, tapos meron pang RDA. So I think these are one, no? We have to reconcile. And the most important, Mr. Chair, itong Section 7, itong Lake Lanao region. No, we are very much concerned on this, on the second paragraph. Nandito, yung in order to carry out the objectives of this act, idiretso ko na dito, the management and protection of nature reserve and aquatic parks, forests, watershed reservations, and other protected areas in the territorial jurisdiction of the Bangsamoro that have already been defined by under the authority of the national government shall be transferred to the Ranao Development Authority, including power plants operating within the province of Lanao del Sur. Mr. Chair, as far as we understand the BOL law, there are gray areas. Still, there are gray areas. It does not mention about the transfer of the power plants to the BARMM or to RDA in this proposed bill. If we can reiterate what was mentioned under BOL is only about the sharing of income of the power plants. When we speak of the power plants, it refers to August 1 and 2 because that is within farm area. Now, Mr. Chair, NPC cannot just simply transfer the power plants to RDA. You know, it is not just simply operating a cell phone or any gadgets for that matter, because this is a highly technical issue, concern. When you operate power plants, kailangan mo talaga ng mga taong marunong mag-operate ng planta. And at this time, we believe that this is not to downgrade RDA, but we believe that RDA does not have yet that technical expertise to run a power plant. I don't know what will be the mechanism of that proposed bill, no? Kung ano yung nasa isip ng RDA regarding dito. But I think we still have to discuss this with the intergovernmental committee ata that is mentioned and board. Yes. Thank you, sir. Intergovernmental Energy Board. No, this we believe this issue must still be discussed with that Intergovernmental Energy Board. Kay mahirap na bagla na lang i-transfer natin sa RDA. Yung RDA is not yet prepared to really transfer these power plants na mag-operate na ang RDA. For us in PC, it will take so many years for our engineers to be trained to run our turbines, all these mechanical parts of power plants. And we cannot just simply operate that with people who are not expert in this kind of activities, no? And alam natin na yung Agos 1 and 2, kung mapurso na yung BARMM, that will be a big source of fund for BARMM. Yun lang po, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insight. Your observation and suggestion is well taken. Can you all the case if you have position paper, please submit it to the secretariat or through the email that was provided by the secretariat, so that we can get your suggestion, observation, and comments on the proposed bill. Next is from NPC Napocor, the Office of the Vice President, representing the Office of the Vice President, the corporate attorney for Mindanao is Attorney Alex Macabangkit. You are recognized, sir. And next after him is the MPDC of Pinidayan, LGU Pinidayan, sa Narako. You are recognized, sir, Attorney Macabangkit. Pinsan.
Thank you. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. For and in behalf of the Office of the Vice President of National Power Corporation, we would like to congratulate the framers of this noble enactment, precisely for the conservation and preservation of Lake Lanao, not only for the current generation, but of course for the future generation. And the National Power Corporation, being one of the stakeholders of Lake Lanao, welcomes this development. Now, we would like, although we already consolidated in a position paper our suggestion insights with respect to the enactments of this law, but this representation would like to point out particularly on the function, paragraph G and paragraph M of section 5, because it refers to the environmental compliance, and the other one is the establishment of Lake Lanao elevations. For the record, Mr. Chair, the National Power Corporation operated the Agos hydroelectric power plant through the issuance of ECC, issued sometime in 1992, and it was amended sometime in May 2009. So with respect to the environmental compliance, we are religiously complying with the conditionalities stated in the ECC. And in fact, we had been regularly, and not a single moment that, although there was indeed a single occasion that we were fined with some violation, but we corrected it right away. But our point is that how can we comply with the environmental compliance with the proposed RDA when we are also complying with the DNR, MENRI. So there is something that we are confused where we are going to comply with the environmental compliance. Second point, Mr. Chair, is that paragraph 5, section 5, paragraph M, establishment of lake water elevation. For the record, Mr. Chair, the National Power Corporation operation curve is 702 meters above sea level. So that is the lake's maximum allowable elevation. 699.15 meters above sea level at its minimum operating level. And the water elevation of Mindanao reached down to 698.5, then that is the minimum allowable level, down that they can no longer operate the plants. So I hope we give that information to the framers on how the National Power Corporation, with respect to the water elevation in their operations. These power plants in August 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's all, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Attorney Makabangit, for your well-elaborated suggestion and comments. Next is from the MPDC of Binidayan, Chata na siya sa microphone. After him is Mangaran Bautel, the plant manager of August 1 and 2.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is Satarako, MPDC of the Municipality of Binidayan. My concern was actually raised by the Secretary of the Provincial Board of Lanao, Attorney Makalanda. But while I am here, I want to share also another. Our lake is a natural endowment that almost every area want to have. So since we have that very special favor from the Almighty, we are required likewise therefore to pay. And as mentioned earlier, this enactment like this is long overdue. Since it's long overdue, we have to consider the mistakes that we have done in the past. We have to work double time. So that's only a suggestion. And as I read, what is this? Silent features, I noticed that this budget that we are going to create also involves planning. And as a planner, I want to share with you my observation that we have hard time in gathering big data, because if we start a plan with the wrong data, I am sure the plan, however skillfully formulated, will not be efficient. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, the planning officer from the municipality of Binidayan. Next is the plant manager, Mangren Bautel. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to the energetic member of parliament who are here today. Pag narinig natin yung lake, it automatically connotes in PC. Kasi in PC is operating using the water from the lake as fuel. So, kung may grupo na interested in the preservation, in the improvement of the lake, siguro NPC is the number one group na responsible and interested to maintain the lake. Narinig ko kanina sa message ni Attorney Latif. Actually, itong proposal na ito started before the pandemic, I think to 2020. I was also able to attend. Akala ni Attorney Latif na baka hindi na mapustro, pero maraming salamat sa inyo, sa inyong group, dahil talagang binigyan nyo ng importansya ang enactment of this important rules, important law. Anyway, I just want to share this observation to consider in the bill dredging of the Lakeshore barangays. Ang sinabi kanina, 18 barangays nasa Lakeshore, including the 4 tributaries, yung major river tributaries. Dahil ang experience namin is ngayon, kahit hindi malakas ang ulan, it easily creates flood. The reason for that is lumiliit yung volume ng water at saka yung lake. The Lake Lanao is also experiencing reduction sa volume. So in effect, hindi malakas yung ulan, madali lang siya mag-overflow. So that is the main reason why the Lakeshore barangays easily gets flood. Again, maraming salamat for this information na dahil ang NPC is harnessing the potential coming from the lake. For your information, the power supply of the whole province of Lanao del Sur is presently tapped at Agusan, including the 3 municipalities in Lanao Norte. And just recently, NGCP plans to install additional transformer para palakihin yung supply ng Lanao del Sur. I hope that this bill will be approved and implemented immediately para pagtulong-tulungan natin yung pag-save, pag-maintain at pag-improve ng famous Lake Lanao. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Engineer Marnie, about it.
NGCP is the one responsible for installing the additional 50 MVA transformers sa Aguswan. Aguswan din ilagay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much for the information. So, yes, any concern? MP James Macaraya. Yes, it's highly suggested kasi the NPC has data. It is highly suggested by the members of the committee because kanina na-mention yung dredging. Can you please submit to this committee yung anong mga particular area, barangays, municipalities na that needs dredging? Barangay and municipality, barangays. Most specifically yung mga barangays para alam ng committee. Yes. Yes, next resource speaker is from the municipality of Dichan Ramain, the mayor of Dichan Ramain, Abdul Razak Adyong Jr.
Thank you for recognizing me, sir. My courtesies to the members of the parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
This is our position paper for the proposed Lake Lanao region. BTA Parliament Bill number 32, otherwise known as an act creating the Ranao Development Authority, prescribing its powers and functions and appropriating funds therefore. Whereas Lake Lanao is one of the original 15 ancient lakes of the world and the heart of the Maranaos, known as the people of the lake. The tenacious and sustainable resource use practices, unlawful exploitation of watershed resource, and neglect from mandated agencies have resulted in this current extreme environmental degradation. Whereas the death of Lake Lanao would have a catastrophic effect on the socio-economic condition of the people of the BARMM and the country in general, being the source of water that drives the turbines of NPC's Agus Grid hydroelectric power plants, supplying a substantial 55% of Mindanao electricity needs since 1953. Whereas the rights and share of the Bangsamoro people in the utilization of Lake Lanao have been guaranteed and protected by the 1987 Philippine Constitution and manifested with the passing of the ratification of the BOL. Whereas the current extreme environmental degradation of Lake Lanao watershed reservation has drastically reduced the Agus Grid power generation that impacted heavily on the power needs of Mindanao, and particularly the socio-economic condition of Maranaos. An agency shall be created solely to protect, conserve, and develop Lake Lanao and its environs. Whereas there is a need for sustainable lake management that will look into the protection and conservation of Lake Lanao from local to basic as well as sectoral to comprehensive perspective while encouraging long-term and strong political commitment. Now, therefore, above premises considered, on behalf of the Lanao del Sur Ateneo de Manila University, ASUG MPM EG graduates, represented by Dr. Sharifa Adiong and Menu Abdurazak Jr. of Municipality of Dusan Ramay, Lanao del Sur, this position paper is prepared to respond of the deliberations during this public consultation on BTA Bill number 32. Resolved, as it is hereby resolved to present this position paper to Attorney Paisalin Pitago and Attorney Maysara Sidandaman Latip, both members of the Parliament, BTA, which reads as follows. Reactivate MMA Act 93, creating Lake Lanao Development Authority, passed in 1999, an Article 2 under the BARMM government. Revisit MMA Act 93 and its relevance to the current environmental issues and amending and or modifying it to comply to BTA Bill number 32. Ang bottom line lang nito is need na ng Lake Lanao ng body to properly manage its utilization. So the call for the implementation of Ranao Development Authority is urgent to save and protect the lake. Thank you and wassalam.
Thank you very much, Abdul Razak Adjung Jr. for that suggestion. Recognize, sir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing me. Sir, meron lang po kaming kunting suggestion sa Ranao Development to include the mandatory requirements, sir, of the proper waste management program sa lahat ng municipalities of the Lanao del Sur. Kasi we believe that if talagang gusto natin ma-conserve ang Lake Lanao, the first thing na kailangan nating gawin is to have a proper waste management po. Kasi sa experience po namin sa Marantao, the proper waste management po ang pinakakailangan kasi yung po ginagawa nilang basurahan ang Lake Lanao. So if the Ranao Development Authority will include to its powers and duties to mandatory require each municipality to have a proper waste management plan, baka po pwede natin kung sa present situation ng Maranao, our beloved Mayor Akira, ang pinakaunang concern niya ngayon sa Maranao is the proper waste management. And alhamdulillah, it is working. Kasi every day we are collecting garbages on each barangay of the municipality of Maranao. And we would like to also pray na sana the whole Lanao will also follow the initiative of our mayor na ang unang programa is to how and manage the waste disposal of each barangay of the municipality. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Cornel, for your suggestions. Next is Pili Papandayan, representing the provincial government, the provincial environmental officer of the provincial government. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. My courtesy to the members of the parliament and the committee chair sa ating yung committee sa nag-submit dito sa ating Ranao Development Authority, no? So sa ating is ang suggestion lang gusto ko lang i-emphasize yung one is support yung sinabi ng manager ng NPC watershed management. Yung sabi niya ang approach is reach to reef. So andun yung plano yung reach to reef. Although yung ang collection natin sa national wealth is nasa August 1 and 2. So siguro kung masali yung 4 to 7 hydroelectric plant, baka makakuha tayo doon ng national wealth din. So another thing is recommendation to yung pag-conduct ng regular sampling ng ating Lake Lanao para ma-maintain yung classification natin. So ngayon yung pinaka-recent na classification is Class A. So mayroon tayong mga effort na intervention na yung mga proposal natin para ma-maintain yung klase. Kasi siguro kung hindi natin yan ma-maintain, baka bababa yung klase ng ating lake. So, yun. Another thing is yung fees and charges. Mayroon tayong tinatawag na payments for environmental services. So yun, baka hindi ko nakita, pero anyway, kung nandoon man sa papel, remind ko lang yun. So thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Mr. Pili Papandayan, for your suggestions. And next is resource speaker is Muhammad Yusuf Watamama, the OIC Chief Aquaculturist of the MAPA Lanao del Sur.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the acknowledgement. My courtesy to the MPs, sir, to the invitation of Honorable Chairperson, Group, a working group, MP Attorney Paisalintago, and Honorable Vice Chairperson, Technical Working Group, MP Attorney Maysara Damdam Latif, for Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Agrarian Reform, Ranao del Sur, to give its comment and proposal with regards to the bill filed in the Bangsamoro Parliament on this matter for creating the Ranao Development Authority BTA Parliament Bill number 32, otherwise known as an act creating the Ranao Development Authority, prescribing its power, functions, and appropriating funds therefore. The Mafar Lanao del Sur is laud the initiatives of the MPs to further conserve, protect, and develop Lake Lanao for the need, ideals, and aspiration of the Bangsamoro people. This BTA Parliament Bill are thus timely, relevant, and very much necessary to address the current status of Lake Lanao. While Mafar Lanao del Sur support these measures, there is need for the timely coordination with other concerned ministries. We urge the Parliament to simultaneously empower the LGUs in the province of Lanao del Sur to enhance their fishery ordinances for the conservation, protection, and development of the Lake Lanao. So, comments are from section 2. The word aquaculture is written aqua das culture. The term aquaculture, the proper term is aquaculture as it is defined in section 4, number 3 of the Republic Act 8550 as amended by 10654. Republic Act 10654 is written as a one word, sir. In same section, number 2, the word used is aquaculture resources. To generally include all the resources related in fisheries, we must use the term fishery resources instead of fisheries and aquatic resources. In section 3, definition of terms, inclusion of the following fisheries plan and programs to ensure that such plan and programs are consistent with the regional fishery plan and programs. In same case kanina, in paragraph B and C, we must use the term fishery resources instead of fisheries and aquatic resources. As stated in letter B comment in section 2, to generally include all resources related to fisheries, we must use the term fishery resources instead of fisheries and aquatic resources. It is also defined in section 4, number 3 and 34 of the Republic Act 8550, amended by Republic Act 10654. Na-mention na rin to kanina ni Sir PD regarding sa paragraph C in terms of approve and disapprove all plans, program, and projects may encroach the power and function of MAFAR. In paragraph G, we must include the following: fish cage and fish pen, yung sa construction. In paragraph L, we must be specific to what ordinances and regulatory the LGU to be passed. The LGU must craft or enhance their fishery ordinances as stated at Republic Act 8550 amended by Republic Act 10654, Section 16, Rule 16.1, Basic Municipal Fishery Ordinances. As for zoning, Mr. Chair, in zoning ordinances, clarify as to who will enforce the said ordinances, LGU or the RDA. That's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for that observation and suggestions. You can submit your position paper to the Secretariat para on record yung mga position natin. Next is the Director of the Forest Management Service of Mindanao BARMM, Director Abdul Jalil Ongwan. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the recognition. Mr. Chair, Your Honors, on behalf of the good senior minister of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and concurrent minister of the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Energy, we'd like to greet you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. May buntag sa tanan. I'm back home in my alma mater. Anyway, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, we will just submit the position paper that we have collated from the different services, from the 7 services of the regional office at the MENRE in the Bangsamoro complex. This is actually a reiteration of the position made by our good Penro, Forester Asmari Labao, aka Igagadung sa Ranao. We have found that the draft RDA has a good intention. However, it overlaps with the functions, the main functions of the MENRE, such as protection, conservation, and preservation of our environment as well as the forest. Now, allow me to cite some of the main recommendations. Anyway, we will just submit to the good chair and the members of this TWG our consolidated position paper. But at this point, allow me to cite some of the main observations and recommendations. We find that with due respect to the framer of the bill, we find that the numbering hierarchy is not consistent and improper. So we hope that the technical group may find it in the right hierarchy of the numbering, so that the one who's reading the bill won't be having any ambiguity in reading the documents or the draft bill. Number 2, framing of the bill has kind of diluted the very essence of the bill, which is supposed to protect and conserve the critical watershed. It does not even focus on the forest protection and conservation. We encountered that there is a consultation by hydrologists, but however, there's no mention of foresters or watershed expert. The island region of Mindanao's heart beats in Lake Lanao because of the presence of the 6 hydroelectric power plants. Lake Lanao's heart beats because of the presence of the vast natural forest. For the information of my colleagues, my fellow Maranaos here, the remaining green corridor we have in the Philippines is located within the area of Kapay, Taguluan, up to Piapayungan, then down to Barira and Buldun. So if we convert the Ranao area, or we call it Ranao region in this draft bill, as a corporate government-owned and controlled corporation, how can we make sure that we can control the utilization of our remaining relatively intact forest in the Philippines? Without that natural forest stand, Lake Lanao will vanish and the whole island of region of Mindanao will have dramatic power and economic crisis. And so the Maranao will also vanish. Number 4, possible improper decision to be made may kill the geese that lay the golden eggs for more than half a century already. And we are referring to the Agus River hydroelectric power plants. May we cite some of the recommendation? Number 1, eminent domain should be decided upon, or this is our suggestion, may consider that the TWG may lodge it that this concern be decided upon and imposed by the Intergovernmental Relations Body with the recommendation of the RDA, the proposed RDA, to avoid chronic horizontal conflict or redo. Number two, the framer of the bill may seriously consider the some of these points. One, let the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board Bill pass into law first to anchor the RDA policies on it. Section 3, Article 13 of Republic Act 11054 states that the Bangsamoro government shall develop a comprehensive framework for sustainable development through the proper conservation, utilization, and development of the natural resources, which shall guide it in adopting programs, policies, mechanisms that focus on the environmental dimension of social and economic interventions. It shall include measures for environmental justice and governance, as well as for the reduction of the vulnerability of women and marginalized groups to climate change and variability. One, two, three, four. Fourth, may we also recommend that we focus RDA to Lake Lanao watershed only, being considered as critical watershed per Presidential Decree 871 series of 1992 with an area of 180,460 hectares. Number 5, within the Lake Lanao watershed, we may put conservation and protection as the main priority. Study on how to strictly protect and preserve the remaining vast natural forests in the country. RDA mandates may limit to integration, recommendation, and promotion of plans, programs, projects, and activities within the Lake Lanao watershed only. It may expand to oversight function, subject to consultation with the appropriate regional agencies with oversight functions. With that, thank you for airing our recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Honors. Thank you for this opportunity to present our observations and recommendation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Director Omwan, for your observation and comments. That will be, kung wala pa, walang magsalita, that will be our, yes, yeah, please state your name. Nakalabot sa mata ko na, miyalok sa ko. You are recognized, sir. From the Mafar.
Yes, from Mafar. Thank you very much, Chair.
State your name, please.
Makpud Mamalangkap, Director 2 for Fisheries, Mapar. So, with respect to our BTA members and our chair, especially our chair, so thank you very much for recognizing us and inviting us for this very important activity. So, my observation and recommendation maybe, because I review and read all the function and responsibility of the authority, developing authority. So I very much appreciate all of this, and I hope that all of the activities nakalagay ating may satupad, because I believe that the aims of this bill ay to protect and conserve and balance our resources, most particularly in Lake Lanao. So we observe also that is particularly in fish. So we observe that almost decline ang resources natin dito. And then that's why my recommendation is we include the creation of Bantay Ranao. Bantay Ranao oversight the illegal activities within the Lanao Lake. So in our region or in our office, we have a plan to create a bantay awa. So the function of that is oversight all the activities, including the operation and using the inappropriate fishing gear. Kasi yan ang isa sa nakakasira sa ating mga fish species in our lakes na gumagamit, like for example, the obnoxious and other yung ginagamit nila the residual effect of our using fertilizer na nagsisediment sa ating lakes. So that Bantay Ranao ay sila yung magre-regulate. Gagawa sila ng policy na to minimize the using of other illegal activities within the lake. So with that, siguro, thank you very much again, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for your nice suggestion. Resource care, you can take your lands, MP Dumasani, Sultan Dumasani is his son. So that after him, kung walang magsalita, we can close the program and we can take our lunch. The lunch was served. Yes, Kakaduma, you're recognized.
Wag mo na mag-close. Kunti lang naman itong sasabihin ko. Languntan mo mga Ranao. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Attorney Maysara, daughter of my classmate, General Daman. He was my classmate at the Dansana Junior College. We talk about protecting the lake. This Bill 31 is an utopian project that if it will be implemented, I think we will be economically stable. Now, we must remember what's happening now in the world. We should not be mentioning, but abuses and discrimination is always happening. Like what's happening now in Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, Uyghur, and other areas. As member of the BTA, not a former, but still a member of the Moro National Liberation Front, mga arikan, mga atakan na pamakinggan niyo This bill must be supported, not with interest, but commitment. Not unless we are committed, nothing will happen. And things could happen anytime. After 50 years, what happened 50 years ago could happen again. Because if all the problems will not be attended, then emotion or motion will take over. Magagalit ang mga tao. As a matter of fact, I keep on saying this, that we as Maranao, we have to continue the jihad, be it peaceful jihad or armed struggle. Because we cannot stop armed struggle when we are being abused like what happened 50 years ago. Talking about the Lake Lanao, mga watakan, mga riyakan, empirically, as a 77 years old Maranao, I am now 77 years old. I've seen empirically what's happening in our province. You could drink at the shore of Lake Lanao. Rubus ang utakili diyan na pagainom kaon. Imanto na poisonous. So lektano. Because it's not being protected. No? not unless we protect this. Ironically, I was in Davao the other day. I went to Lupon, Tagum, which is 500 kilometers away from here. And you will see that they are supplied electricity coming from Marawi. Ano ba to? Tayo ang walang ilaw. Pero doon sa Tagum, Zamboanga, Cotabato, General Santos, nandoon ang ilaw. Bakit tayo ang walang ilaw? Ano ba to? No? And if this will be abused, and we will not do something, our children and the children of our children will blame us. No? Na tayo ay walang ginawa. Kaya as much as possible, we must be united that what happened years ago, and I keep on repeating this, that it will not happen again. Because if we will be abused coming from other areas, that's why we want to have a federal form of government. No, I may be sidetracking, but this is very, very important. Nasaktan mga Ranao, yung manari, mga papasang tano na aya kurang tano na commitment. 5 katawa, miatap na si Ranao sa bar. Lango na pagatin na examination na tap tanuron. Nang gabi pasad na prile ako niyo, mibalitan na tapulan. Na uditan no May United na so top 90, 41, na bulan mo ni Matasapulo. Pala kami pumatay. Pala kami mga sasakit. Na miyukit kami sa karasayan, na those people who don't look back, di pangilain so kay pusan. Kaya buwan mapapantag na suiman to ka, di niyo kailay so miyay pusami, akyargne ko lang na top 90, miyang to, sabap busag yung kay Ranao. Nagyo to iskan mo, mga watami, api kami niyo kay Ranangitan, miyag sa itrak ako, miyarong, ato na yun di misusugat nga di ang diteron, attorney Maysara. But this I'm telling you, this 31, Bill 31, this is utopian. Kasulan na na mag-isa-isa tano. Otherwise, na di tano, peaceful, because we should recall all those people. Adi negang sa Quiapo, ang mga bubay. Adi sila ninegang na penda kapansirapan. Nagito share kami, amiyokit sa top 90 na be serious. Nabaobtira ba karon ni mga serious sugay na May United tano, we will go to the road and declare our intention that we want that Lake Ranao will be protected. There are even people who say that the lake do not belong to the Maranao. Ranao means Lanao. Mga Ranao tano. Nasir kami ron. Na naman na marantano agyang kaya kiyang bela na kaya bebay niyo atau ni Maysara dandaman may implementae beloya kitab, and this I'm going to tell you for the last moment. Any laws, amendments or whatever, if that law is an hindrance to development, then we have to apply the law of necessity. And when law of necessity is not being observed, then usually people resort to violent armed struggle. Because they are being abused, deprived of their rights, and that's the reason why we have a violent revolution. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Kaka, Member of Parliament Nduma Sane, for contributing to us your experience as original member of the Moro National Liberation Front, top 90. Na actually, nirado ta katero yan, importante na so kapag isa-isa, dapat na mag-isa-isa tano, kaditi kabagratan, no, in unity, there is strength. And if there is strength, there is power. We can get power if we are united. Di mga pdakan din, ada mga tataron yan. May panatan mo na kapakatiro sa mga padua ng mga not really related to the bill, kapaka-related to the bill, na you can spoke while our guests are eating their lunch. First, our front commander, may bapa, Janati Mimbantas, ay paleon niya na Basit Abbas. Basit Abbas. Pero kalalaman na Janati Mimbantas. You are recognized, sir.
Salamat lagi. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad khatimil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, we are thanking our Almighty Allah for giving us this historical event that we have now our consultation regarding the creation of the Ranao Development Authority. As you have mentioned, and of course we knew that the Ranao Development Authority was already passed by the different congressmen from Ranao del Sur in the Congress and the Senate, but it was not materialized. And now with the emergence of the Bangsamoro government, the fruit of our sacrifices, I think the creation of Ranao Development Authority will now be realized, inshallah. So, mga luksami, mga pagaryami, mga babayami, miya kataling may manton na pinalamatan na miskano sang kaya kaya pakataling umaniw sang kaya consultation tano sa kapagod na sang kaya paganaya kitab pengbela na Bangsamoro Parliament sponsor ng kaya babaitan wa si Attorney Maysara Dondam Latif nga BTA Bill number 32 na I think we are co-authors, ma'am. Lahat tayo. Oy, kuan na kay very historical ay sa paman ang takabas ang mapurwak na si Sir Duma ayaman nalalag na nako. So portantan wa ini para sa Ginoo tano para ako paman next generation. O makakuya tayo na papasorang anak nun na benda ke malaak yung kaya gantan wari congressman. Diya. Oh. Mapakaya ma-approve na pamana madakala country sa dunia apa mana finance niyan ay. Oh, dia Malaysia, Japan lang ano pa makakuan na manalag na mapakaya pa mana mbali ay tourist attraction ang kaya pa mana Ranao Marawi City. Basta ma-approve ya ka pa mana mapakaya pa na kakirsadaan na yang kaya pa mana ngano nakilida leklanawa mapakay manarian na sponsor na Turkey ya tingnan na kakirsadaan na miyanan agyam ya aprubangan na Leklano Development Authority. So paninta ko wala balasan tan wala na isompatan na jihad tan kaya pa mana kaya pa kamoy na nga Bangsamoro government. Kano barkaya imailip, na barkay minilip. Karaktan way lang nang amya ngaw jihad tan nga Bangsamoro government na aya malakirksi na sumanga watatano. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Next na si Member of Parliament Musa Jamla. You recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I wish to only react on the comments and observation of our friend from the National Power Corporation and some comments from the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, as well as that of those speakers who have some fears of the problem on the provisions of the proposed Ranao Development Authority. The plan is not to resign all the engineers of the Agus 1 and Agus 2 because that is impossible. Our plan is for us to exercise our own right, our human rights and political rights as an owner of the lake, being in Maranao, and that it is an international right and to be recognized that all those that are supposed to be for the Maranao should be for the Maranao. So wag po niyong maisip na kukunin namin yung mga engineer kasi hindi rin naman namin gagawin nun. In like manners that all the other offices like the FAR, the MINRE, and other offices, I was a pioneer because the first bill was filed in Congress by the late Governor Mamintal Adjong, and I was then a staff of the late Congressman. What happened is it was kept in the office of Senator William. Every week with Miriam, we always go to their office in Quezon City and we do not find her. So hanggat sana tapos yung term ni Congressman Adjong, he became the governor, wala talagang nagawa. Wala kaming magawa. So anyway, the purpose of this law is to keep revert rather on our claim to as a what do you call this inheritor of the lake. Remember, we are people here, and we are supposed to have all the rights and privileges or whatever we will get out of the creation of the lake Lanao. So, yun lang po. Sana huwag kayong maano. Because lake, as I said, to continue, the problem on the MINRE and the MAPAR is maybe the same problem of the DENR in the Rizal Province. Meron ding DNR sa Laguna Lake. Hindi man nagka-conflict. If you go over the provision of what was prepared by our main proponent, walang masyadong conflict. We will have to align all these provisions. So I hope you will not fear for what you have in mind now. You will situate as a member of the parliament that this will all be considered. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, member of you are recognized.
Thank you very much to our Deputy Majority Floor Leader and Chairman of the TWG for the creation of the Ranao Development Authority. Correction, sure. I'm no longer a Mr. I am a plain member of Parliament. As one of the co-authors of this bill, we would like to solicit the understanding of our brothers and sisters whom we invited to consult. We are here to hear your concern. Rest assured that in the final fine-tuning of this proposed bill, we will consider your concerns. As we know, for me, I believe that failure of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority to pass priority legislations that will protect and conserve our natural resources will be tantamount to committing a grave injustice to the Bangsamoro people, because after all, we own Lake Lanao. We have to ensure that proper cooperation and coordination will be observed and practiced by the offices concerned. Because after all, for example, with due respect, the Menre BARMM is not a new entity. It is the inner arm. And prior to the creation of the Menre BARMM, the inner arm was supposed to protect the watershed areas of Lake Lanao. Now, look what happened. If you go to the Maging area, it is already, the forest there are bald. So, who is supposed to be blamed? So, ang gawin po natin dito, magtulong-tulungan na lang tayo. One agency should help the others like Menre BARMM, Mafar BARMM, the MILG BARMM, pati na yung itong makakreate na Ranao Development Authority. We will try to make sure that hindi po tayo magkakabanggaan, but instead, we will have to collaborate, cooperate, and coordinate with each other in order that we will be able to protect and conserve our lake. That is all, Mr. Chairman. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ano sa Marjan? James. Yes, Member of Parliament Jamil Macaray is recognized.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Salawatullahi wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hindi sana ako magsasalita, kaya lang itong katabi ko, MP Marjani, kinuha na yung microphone sa chair. Mr. Chair, tama, ang dapat natin gawin magkaisa. Plus itong proposed bill, dapat ma-involve dito lahat ng mga technical team ng Menre, NPC, at saka kung sino man ang pwede maibigay ng Office of the Chief Minister. Kasi gagawa po tayo ng office na regulatory body. So, isa yan sa napakalaking challenge. Kasi kung regulatory body, mayroon na kasing mga offices na kasalukuyang ang kanilang duties and functions ay ito nang ipopropose natin. So, anong gusto nating mangyari? Baka siguro i-delineate lang natin yung functions na dapat gawin ng RDA. Tama sa protection ay nasa Menre na yan, ang protection. Kung maging dalawa, so paano po yun? So maybe there will be level of duties and responsibilities, accountability na dapat nasa RDA at saka nasa yung nandyan nasa sa Menre. Siguro ang pwede gawin is yung hindi klaro, yung hindi naman nasabihin na kung saan ineffective yung isang opisina ay yun kukunin ng RDA. Hindi naman sa ganun. Pero titingnan din natin. Baka yun yung mangyari. Plus, siguro ang magandang gawin dito is complementation. Paano ma-protect? Sa preservation, mahirap yung term na preservation. Sa rehabilitation development, pwede yun. So napakaraming issue. I hope, Mr. Chair, na we will not limit the consultation in like this activity, maybe we can also hold a focus group discussion. Kasi magkakaroon tayo ng mga overlap sa functions na nandyan na sa MINRE at saka sa ibang mga agencies. Salamat sa mga concerns, mga ideas ng lahat ng mga guests natin na magiging reference yan sa pagbalangkas itong tinatawag na Ranao Development Authority. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa bihi nasta'in amma ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mr. Chair, for the record, gusto ko lang sabihin na tumawag kanina si Attorney Gamal Ali, if you know him. Kasi gusto niya mag-attend, NPC, I think Vice President in Mindanao. Gusto niya mag-attend pero nasa Manila tapos bukas naman nasa Zamboanga. So for the record, he wants to, sana hingi daw siya ng oras sa TWG. So tatlo daw sila galing sa NPC to meet with the TWG kasi marami daw silang mga input na gustong ibigay sa atin inshallah. So I told him to relay the message to the chair of the TWG. Number two, sabi ni Kakaduma kahit medyo out of topic pero gusto ko lang sabihin sa kanya na rest assured na yung mga kabataan ngayon inshallah ipagpapatuloy ho yung nasimulan yung one way or another. You have successfully planted the seeds of asserting our rights. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. Nagpapasalamat kami sa lahat ng pumunta. Lalong-lalo na sa nagbigay ng kanilang mga ideas, mga comments, mga concerns. Dahil as part ng technical working group, ito po yung magpapaganda sa ating batas. Nagpapasalamat kami sa mga nandito ngayon sa hall, hindi lamang lalabas pa dun sa mga nagbigay ng mga ideas, comments, pati yung mga kasama natin na pinapakinggan nila yung discussion tungkol sa Lake Lanao. Yung technical working group po ay tuloy-tuloy lang po hanggang bukas meron pa din tayo. Subalit yung mga ideas nyo, kung may naisip tayo kasi minsan pagka nagsimula na yung discussion, doon mo maisip may pwede pa palang idagdag. Open lang po, andito po yung ating chair pati yung ating mga members. At nagpapasalamat din kami sa mga kasamahan namin sa BTA. Dahil akala namin trabaho lang to ng ilan pero sinamahan nila kami dito full support. Hindi lamang dito physically pati yung doon sa nasa Zoom. Maraming salamat po mga kasama. Sa ngayon, ito po yung pagtatapos sa araw na ngayon pero rest assured tuloy-tuloy po yung submission natin sa inyo. Maraming salamat po.
That is the closing remarks from Member of Parliament Attorney Rasmit Milk. And in view of that, public consultation is suspended and we will continue tomorrow for the other sectors. So yung iba, if you have time free, you can also participate para marinig niyo yung mga concern ng other sectors. Kasi ito government agencies, tomorrow is for the other sectors, academy, professional, sulama, and others. So thank you very much for coming here and to my colleague in the member of in the BTA for coming here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My request na